Cube actually been making his rounds, and he actually was a visitor or a guest, I should say, Shannon Sharp's podcast called 𝗀𝗲 𝗢𝗱, which is really dope. He had about an hour and a half for our conversation with Shannon today that was really dope. Where he
I think that was recorded before all this other stuff happened, because I watched a bit of it and they weren't really talking about this.
I don't know. I don't know the timeline. I didn't see all of it, so don't quote me. I know he was talking about his agenda and talking about things that he wanted to get done. I did not see all of it though, so I couldn't really match.
Yeah, when I watched it, it wasn't so much the controversy. I mean, they were talking more about George Floyd.
Okay.
And the thing is, like, if you've been paying attention to Ice Cube, in honestly the past 3 to 4 months, he's been talking about this. This wasn't any type of surprise to me. I heard him, basically talk about this on Jemele Hill's podcast. Shout out to her.
Jamel's dope.
And this was maybe 2.5, 3 months ago, you know, but now everybody, just when one of the Trump operatives put out that they had, had a discussion with him. And I feel like once again, I don't feel like Ice Cube can be canceled by anybody, because first of all, if Ice Cube couldn't be canceled by death certificate, he's never going to get canceled. So
that was the angle that I wanted to take.
Well,
let's be clear about that.
The conversation about cancel culture.
He did.
Go ahead, Lone. I'm sorry.
Well, what I was going to say, just to back to what you guys are talking about, he went on CNN and addressed all this. So he did do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did see the thing about Shannon Sharp's thing pop up today, but I didn't watch it. But yeah, he did definitely go on. He definitely went on CNN and addressed everything, and he cleared everything up. So,
my thing with Cube, what jumped out to me was the number of people that instantly were like, "Oh man, fuck Ice Cube," and I'm like, to me, you have entertainers and people all the time that do certain shit, and we talk about clout, we talk about voices, we talk about that all the time. But when I initially saw this, I'm like, Cube has enough, and maybe I'm biased or maybe I don't apply this all the time, but fuck it, then I'll just be inconsistent, because Ice Cube has enough cachet with me for me to be like, wait a minute, let me go back, read this and double check and make sure I'm hearing this right before I listen to hundreds of thousands of people cancel Ice Cube.
We should do that with everybody. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is certain people hold more, like when Ice Cube does something, I know it's not spur of the moment, I know it's not unprepared, and I know he's going to be thorough with his execution. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
So when I see that, I'm like, all right, there's no way Cube did something stupid. If he did, we'll hold him accountable if need be. So after I read it, I'm like, okay, he went to the Democrats. They said, nah, we cool until the election. The Republicans actually heard him for what his ideas were in his list, for his letter. And I'm like, okay. So he's either exposing both parties as he tries to get, some of the stuff that he wants accomplished, or at least to get put out there in the atmosphere. But when they said he endorsed Trump, I'm like, I saw that nowhere. Then he came back to Lone's point and clarified that. Like, nah, that's not what this is about. Democrats played me when I tried to present it. So I went to the Republicans. I have no issue with that. That doesn't bother me.
I don't even think it was that, though. I think he just heard both of them out. I think that's all that it was.
Like, I thought I read somewhere that they said we're not gonna do anything until after the election on the Democratic side.
That's what the Democrats said. The Republicans just listened to him and made some adjustments, but it wasn't like he went.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I got you.
But the thing is, I just want to be clear.
Hold on a second, Jay.
Ice Cube did not endorse Donald Trump. That is not what was going to get to. People need to stop running with that.
That's the point.
Sure. The whole thing with Ice Cube and Donald Trump, the problem is with people who see these little blips online, they don't go and research it themselves. Right. Take that little grain of salt and they run with it. And like you said earlier, if you've been paying any kind of attention to what Ice Cube has been doing ever since the George Floyd thing happened, and his energy from his page, you know that he's been up to something all this time. And so for people to jump out the window because Republicans decided to listen to him, is in no way an endorsement for you. You have to. How do you think these nations that are warring and things, how they come to agreements? They have to have a sit down, regardless if they like each other or not. There has to be some kind of common ground to stand on. At the end of the day, if one group of people were saying they want to listen to you now and the other one is saying later, doesn't matter who's listening or when if nobody's going to do shit about it. Otherwise, it's a mute point. Because you say that I'm listening to you, and then you use that as ammo to get people to go vote for you, and then you turn around and not do nothing about it. It's just as bad as waiting till after the election to listen to what he had to say in the first place. So the whole cancel culture and name calling Ice Cube, if you don't have any kind of source where you can prove that he's doing something that's messy, you should probably be cool.
Could dig it. Spoolz, jump in, man. Any thoughts on Cube?
No, it just sounds like some stupid internet media shit that happened, you know?
Absolutely.
Let me ask this. So I think I put it in our community group, but did you guys read the contract with Black America that has been published? So there's been like a number of different things, because I've also read about like Donald Trump's plan. You know what I mean?
The platinum plan, which I was like,
yeah, the platinum plan.
I was like, really? Is this 2004? We really doing a platinum plan?
Oh, geez. It's terrible. And it's like a fucking PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, do we have a spinning rims plan? That would be dope. Can we get it, if we're gonna do a platinum plan.
What did you take from
two-way pager plan? Can we get that?
Yeah. Jesus. From the contract. You know, man, from what I've read, I mean, I haven't read, I've read it all once or twice, and nothing in there is unreasonable, I don't think.
Okay.
A lot of things are based on proportion, which to me makes sense. Like there should be the same proportion that there is of, a group should be represented, especially in any group that when it comes to like making decisions or, people's, economics and things like that, like proportion should be taken into consideration, man. And that's all that, in a number of places that it's asking for. Proportional representation in certain industries and education, shit like that. Like it's very reasonable. It's more than reasonable. Ask for an apology for slavery, which is fucking sad that it even has to.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It asked for the Ku Klux Klan to be officially recognized as like a terrorist organization, which is fucking sad.
Yeah.
It's just asking for shit that
we should have already got.
Yeah, that should have happened already. That we shouldn't
Common
have to
sense demands. Shit that should have been done back in the 50s and 60s during the civil rights movement.
Yeah, and I know some people won't agree with me. I mean, there's certain things like representation in the arts or whatever when it comes to like music and film and things like that. That are kind of interesting, but I don't know, man. I mean, it's. But what I was getting at is there's the platinum plan, for fuck's sake. And then you've got,
it just sounds so stupid,
like First Step, which was a program, if I'm not mistaken, that was aimed at helping Black people or people of color that the Trump administration has rolled out or done. So you guys familiar with this at all?
Yes.
Yeah. And then
as much problems I have with Van Jones, like he's done a lot of work on this, and so shout out to him for that.
I don't know. I don't have anything to add.
I want to come to Lone real quick because he mentioned something to me that I didn't hear, that I didn't check out. I skimmed over. You mentioned an initiative that Diddy started as well, in relation to some type of party that he was starting that I guess was, if I read it correctly, was in some way, shape, or form supposed to hold the president-elect accountable in certain actions in terms of dealing with minorities. Did I get that right? Is that kind of what that was, to paraphrase?
I think more so Black people, less minorities. But it's called Our Black Party, I believe, .org. Jay, if you wanted to, I know you probably read on this. If you want to touch on it, because I know you didn't touch on the Cube stuff too, but did you check out his interview with Charlemagne?
Yeah, I did. I mean,
what'd you think about it? Because I thought I didn't feel like they shared enough information, or did he talked about it enough? It sounded like he was just kind of just spouting randomness.
Surface talk.
It seemed very vague. It seemed like, and this is the problem. A lot of people, and like I put myself into this because like I try to be as learned as possible on on things political, but like I said, I don't know everything. I try to actually read up on things and figure out what's going on. So with the Diddy thing, like I said, it looks very good on the surface, but we talked a little bit about Killer Mike's Greenwood Initiative. Once again, I said even then, and being excited about it and thinking it's a good thing, I still need to do some reading. And I think that's what a lot of people have to stop acting like they're too good to do, is do additional reading. Yeah. When because I'm not sure if any of you have seen, and I hope I'm getting the name of this documentary correctly, A King in the Wilderness. It's about the last days of Dr. Martin Luther King.
I have not.
It's on HBO. It came on HBO. So if you got HBO or HBO Max, you'd probably be able to find it. You got to understand, at the end of his life, Dr. King was very unpopular. And it was after the Civil Rights Bill had been, signed and all that. And it was almost like they're like, okay, you did what you were supposed to do. And it was like, no, Dr. King, this is where Dr. King was really gangster. He was like, no, I'm coming to get that check. Okay. Like, there has been a situation where Black people have not been given their just due, even in the face of when immigrants have been able to come here and they've been given land and given the opportunity to get grants and all these other things. And it's time for you to give the Black man in America that same opportunity that you give these people who just step off of the boat. And the thing is, anytime Black people talk about, okay, it's time for us to get that check, sometimes they're marginalized and considered crazy and like, okay, we shouldn't listen to them. And I'm not liking Ice Cube to Dr. King, but I think this is where we're going, where I think they're trying to marginalize him in the same way, because he's talking about, okay, all this marching and all this protest, this is cool, but where's the check? Well, I think that's something that really needs to be explored. And it's one thing to say, okay, we're going to have a Juneteenth be an official holiday, and we're going to go ahead and do this, that, and the third. Where's the check? Where's the check? The check that you've offered so many other people, but not offer the people who actually built this country. Because immigrants didn't build this country.
Let me ask you,
we've never been considered immigrants. So I'm going to talk that God body radical talk right now. We talk about who built this country. No, let's get into who built this country. And
let me ask y'all this though, real quick.
Let's just keep that real.
Let me ask y'all this real quick. In terms of skepticism, we talk about reading and following up and making sure that you look into things before you try to make a decision.
If you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/bringingdowntheband and join our private Discord community with talks on hip hop, music, news, and everything else.